Hello and welcome to the Daily Space. For today, you don't have my video now. What? Okay, I'm going to just fix this live. I don't know why the internet hates me today. I will do a clean intro to this in a moment, Susie. I am apparently having step-by-step every possible tech fail this morning. Apologies, everyone. I had my system earlier today set up in a different location to cover the SpaceX re-entry. And apparently my technology hated me after the transition. Okay, we're going to try this one more time. Hello and welcome to the Daily Space for today, March 8th, 2019. I am your host for the day, Dr. Pamela Gay, and I am here to put science in your brains. This is our second broadcast for the day, which is unusual given that it's only lunchtime for most of us in the United States, but SpaceX had to start things off super early with a 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 a.m. re-entry of their Dragon capsule, and we brought it to you right here on CosmoQuest X. Now, I think I have all the bugs worked out of my technology after having moved it to do that broadcast from somewhere else in my house where I wouldn't be waking up everyone else in my house. So I shall continue with our show as usual. Thank you all so much for being here. Our top story of the day is one of lunar moisture. Now, the reason I say moisture instead of water is this is a story of lunar minerals that have water in the mineral, but it isn't just water. And these wet minerals, it turns out, when the moon gets hot, they go from being icy minerals bound up on the surface to being floaty minerals that move from one place to another. There you go. Eddie, here, go get it. There are two dogs in here, I promise. Eddie, go see. When those minerals get warmed up, they go from sticking to the surface quite politely to floating around. And it turns out that these wet minerals will basically jump randomly about on the surface of the moon until they get to someplace cold. And then they stick there. So you can imagine, as the lunar day begins, minerals on the surface get heated up, they pop up into the air, float a little ways, and if they float into the already day side, they pop back up and wander around some more. But their general progression is to always stay in the shadow of the sun. Or the moon's shadow that is blocking out the sun is probably a better way to put that. And this is something that we've seen more or less on Mars seasonally with the way the gases that build up the Martian icy poles will hop from one pole to the other. But this confirmation is just kind of cool that there is migrating wet minerals on the moon. We had previously thought that water on the moon was most likely confined largely to permanently shadowed areas in craters, these places where the sunlight never reaches because of the geography. The surface shape just prevents the sunlight from ever getting into some of the nooks and crannies of these craters. Well, satellite work looking at particles coming out of the surface when it interacts with high energy particles from the sun indicated that there must be water even more prevalent than that within the minerals. the L-Cross impact back in 2009, had a large water content in the dust and debris that was lifted up into the air by the impactor. Now we just have one more piece of evidence that yes, water on the moon is a thing. It's just tied up in the rocks. Now, this is work that was done by the Lyman Alpha Mapping Project on NASA's LRO, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter, which is the spacecraft that flew along with L-Cross to the moon back in 2009, and it is still up there, and it is still doing great science. This research comes to us from a team working at Southwest Research Institute, and this is just a beautiful photo. So, speaking of beautiful photos, with a whole lot less pixels and a much grumpier expression, I introduce you to two new views on 2014 MU69. It was artist Natalie Metzger that pointed out that you can see a mouth, an eye looking very grumpy in this image, and an eye, and a sad face with a giant nose on the other image. So may you too now always see Optima Thule as two grumpy faces bound together. Now the reason that I'm showing you these two slightly different angles of these two pretty good resolution images, not the best resolution we have, but pretty good resolution images, is because the movement of the spacecraft between the moments that these two images were taken allows them to be combined in a whole variety of ways that people with better eyeballs than I claim will allow you to see, 2014 MU69 in all sorts of 3D glory. I am going to give you a link as soon as I find the right window on my screen that will allow you to go and see the different images and try your hand at, seeing 2014 MU69 in 3 dimensions. And if not, you can, yes, it's a coughing. I agree, Hanny's Warverb. It's totally a coughing from Pokemon Go. So join me in seeing the grumpy faces, and perhaps you, unlike me, can see it in 3D. So moving on to our next story, I have an amazing artist's rendition of what the sky might look like if you were on a world with a very big moon and 2 distant binary stars that you're orbiting. The reason that I'm showing you this image is because this image accompanied a press release all about how binary systems might offer us special new higher probabilities for finding life. This is because the combination of the 2 stars, if they're in a tight enough orbit in the center of a solar system, will end up creating a larger habitable zone than one star can. And because it's not one angry hot star, but rather 2 potentially calmer stars, that habitable zone can last longer. And this may mean a greater opportunity for worlds with life to come into existence. Now, one of the easiest ways that you can get this kind of a tight binary system is to have 3 different stars interact in an open cluster while the star system is still coming into its own. The kinds of star-on-star interactions, the gravitational tugs and yanks that take place in open clusters and star-forming regions can in many ways be destructive, can potentially be harmful to young, still forming star systems, but they can also, it turns out, through the dynamics, take a wide binary and through the 3-body interaction, take 2 of the stars, put them into a tight binary, and eject the 3rd out of the system entirely. So here's to more 3-body interactions that leave behind one tight pairing of stars and a whole solar system with a large swath that has the potential to have liquid water stable on the surface of the worlds. Now, this is, of course, the most simplistic view of what a habitable zone may be. We have, for as long as I can remember, and probably since well before I was born, defined the habitable zone of a star system as that part of the star system where a planet receives enough light from its star that liquid water can exist on its surface, not frozen water, and it's not so hot that the water all goes to water vapor and creates a runaway greenhouse effect, or just boils off if you're Mercury. So now we know that you can end up with potentially habitable moons and other objects that have subsurface seas that are driven by volcanism, are driven by tidal forces, and these are also potentially habitable. They just aren't things where we can say this is the zone where they will be found, because they can kind of be found anywhere. So worlds like ours exist in these Goldilocks habitable zones. But who knows where all life will be found. And it's an awful big galaxy out there. And our final story of the day tells us just how big it is, or at least it gets us a little bit closer to an answer. Trying to weigh our Milky Way galaxy has been a challenge because dark matter refuses to shine. And we don't know just how far out the dark matter associated with our Milky Way galaxy extends out beyond the luminous stuff. So the best that we can do is measure the velocities of clouds of gas and globular clusters that are orbiting around our system. Now, the problem is these various objects, the globular clusters, the gas, we can't measure their three-dimensional motion very easily. From where we sit, we can measure their motion to and from us using Doppler shifts. As objects move toward you, their light gets shifted to the blue. As they move away, their light gets shifted to the red. What's hard, though, is measuring their motions up, down, side to side in the plane of the sky. This extra set of motion requires us to see the fine changes from one year to the next as objects move. And up until now, we haven't really had a good way to do that. Well, it turns out if you combine, over a decade of Hubble observations of globular clusters with Gaia's amazing observations of stars moving through our system, all of this data taken together starts to get us a better idea of what's going on. So Gaia has combined measurements of 34 globular clusters with 12 more distant clusters that were observed by Hubble, and they have nailed down the mass of the Milky Way galaxy. Now, of course, that isn't one of the headline numbers, but if you read through, it is 1.5 trillion solar masses of material. This means that if you took all the gas, all the stars, all the stuff, things, dark matter within our Milky Way, including that supermassive black hole that sits in the center, all of that added together is 1.5 trillion times the amount of material that makes up our own sun. So it's an awful big Milky Way galaxy. And they're finding once again that dark matter makes up about 90% of our particular galaxy. So we're only seeing 10% of what's out there. And it's an awful big galaxy that just doesn't want to be fully seen. Now, I have to admit, most of us, if we could make a fair percentage of our mass invisible, we would choose to do so. But the Milky Way just does it with dark matter. So that concludes all the stories I have for today. And I am now here to answer your questions. I would like to remind you, please at CosmoQuest in the chat. It makes your questions easier to find. While you are typing those in, I'm going to do a station identification. You are watching The Daily Space right here on CosmoQuest X on twitch.tv. We are your place to learn and do science. CosmoQuest is more than just this channel, so check out everything we have to offer. We are currently in the process of revamping all of our citizen science projects, but in the coming months we won't just be offering you chances to help us map out worlds like the moon, Mars, Mercury. We're also going to be asking for your help mapping out Bennu to understand this little world that the OSIRIS-REx space telescope, the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft rather, is currently orbiting. So stay tuned and help us be part of exploring our solar system. And you are doing this as part of the Planetary Science Institute, working along in collaboration with Youngstown State University. Your subscriptions, your bits, your donations, everything you do helps make the science flow. Thank you. We are, after all, here only thanks to the generous contributions of people like you and a contract from the OSIRIS-REx spacecraft. So thank you all for being here, and I'm now going to see what questions are in the chat. Scrolling. While I'm doing this, I'm going to let you know Eddie is currently cuddling my foot, and I'm apparently never allowed to move again. Okay. I scrolled so far back, I found our SpaceX coverage from this morning. There we go. The ghost of Dr. Pamela. I'm sorry. I had so many technical issues this morning. Fridays are the new Mondays. It does appear that that is the case, Guido. So Henny's Vorver, the water in the moon's craters, some of it may, she asks if the water gets there by the random motion that I talked about at the top of the program. Some of the water in the craters probably gets there that way, but the bulk of it we still think was delivered through impact events. So there's lots of different ways that things happen. So Astro YYZ, Astro Wise, as I like to read it, writes, so the habitable zone can be created from the cumulative effects of more than one star in a binary system. Yes, that is true. That's very cool. I've only ever thought of habitable zones with respect to one star. Yes. As long as you have a tight binary with the planets existing outside the gravity of the two systems, it's the combined starlight that adds up to create that habitable zone. You can also end up with habitable zones around both stars in well-separated binaries. And my camera zoomed in more than normal, making hand gestures difficult. So let's go back to that image just because I want to share this artist's view one more time. So as you can see, these two stars are roughly the same angular size in the sky. So imagine these as two very similar stars. And you can actually see slight differences in their size due to the slight differences. Now, what's amazing, in a binary system like this, you'd see those two stars change their orientations relative to one another over time. Yeah, this is scientifically possible. So is the Star Wars system we're now coming to learn. Oh, Astro YYZ. Yeah, time is wibbly wobbly today. So Henny's Ververp asks, will the dark matter halo of the Milky Way and Andromeda collide in the near future, or are we in the same bubble? That is, so we are in a shared local group dark matter halo. And each individual dark matter, each individual galaxy has its own dark matter associated with it. So the way to think of it is there is the greater dark matter surroundings of our local group that is extremely low density. And then there is a higher density bubble that is densest in the core and falls off with distance that is associated with each individual galaxy. Now, those dark matter clouds associated with each individual galaxy will interact before the luminous matter does, as far as predictions say. It's not going to happen for a few billion years. We've got time. But this is the kind of thing that we do see when we look at other galaxies in the process of merging. So we learn about the future of our own system by seeing other systems that, well, are getting their collisions on before ours will. Yep, it's Larry. It's halos within halos, halos all the way down. That is accurate. And that's really all I've got for today. So unless you have any more questions, I have 2 sleeping dogs who don't know why they were forced to get up so early this morning, and 1 sleepy human who was also forced to get up early this morning for science. We do this for science. And I have worm feet. You're right, AstroWise. You are entirely right. So thank you all so much for joining us. The next thing that is regularly scheduled on this channel is Annie Wilson will be bringing you Sunday Science Hour on Sunday, as the name implies, at 1 p.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. London time. In addition to that, we will, of course, be keeping our eyes, ears, and keyboards out to watch for all that is new and exciting in space and astronomy. And there's always the admittedly low probability, but non-zero probability that I will randomly pop on or somebody else will randomly pop on to do various things and stuff with CosmoQuest and let you be part of us developing this community. So check it all out. Join us on Discord. And once again, thank you so much for your generous contributions through your bits, your subs, and your donations. You are what makes our science possible. We are a production of the Planetary Science Institute working in collaboration with Youngstown State University. Check it all out, and thanks for being here. I also have one final thing that I keep forgetting to share. You are all invited to join me, Fraser Kane, Sky Elias, John Matt Gauthier, Paul Matt Sutter, a variety of streamers, podcasters, and science communicators that I hope you know and love. We are all going to go to Joshua Tree National Park out in California in June, and we want you, yes, you, to join us. It's not free, but they have reduced the prices. So check it out. Consider joining us. And the stars will be bright. The sky will be dark. We will have telescopes. And we will have science. And we will have what may be the last generation of Joshua trees to occupy Joshua Tree National Park around us. And as I've said before, I, for one, plan to hug a Joshua tree. So join us in the desert. And if June in California isn't the thing for you, I get it. It's fine. We have other opportunities as well. I will be leading a tour group departing from Tucson, Arizona, traveling through the desert, visiting observing sites, seeing the amazing geography that is our nation's American Southwest. This is my favorite geography in the entire world. You're invited to join me in late August in the American Southwest as we explore cosmic stories and hopefully make a few stories of our own. Check it all out. Go to astrotours.co/Starstrider. And I hope to see you all there. Okay, so I will, after I run the credits, I will find another science streamer from the Knowledge Fellowship to raid away to, and we will keep the learning going. Thank you again, and yes, Hanny's Vorwerp, you will be able to see the Milky Way from there. So I hope to see all of you there. And yes, I did catch from the chat, there is no astronomy cast today. Fraser is currently in Costa Rica with another one of these astro tours. So we will be recording on Monday. Stay tuned for that. And I'm going to take that time to reach out to all of our Patreons on all of our different Patreon accounts. Don't forget, you can support us and get the benefits of your choice for CosmoQuest 365 Days of Astronomy or CosmoQuest X, all at Patreon. Thank you. I'd rather talk science than beg for money, but I only get to talk about science if you give money. If you give enough, I will stop begging. I promise. I promise. I hate begging for money. Anyways, I'm now going to roll the credits and go find myself some lunch and make the science flow. Thank you for being here. If the weather allows, go outside, look up, and wherever you are in the world, have a fabulous morning, evening, or afternoon. Bye-bye.